are on. Well, good morning, everybody. This is for the video's benefit, but I am Rich Cosner. I'm the owner of Coldwell Banker Southern Realty, and thrilled to have all of you here. Many times we do these classes on Zoom, but this time we decided not to. We're going to do it so it'll be on video, so it'll be available to people that come after you guys and girls, and so they can see it at night if they need to or whenever. But thrilled to have you here. So the reason I ask, and it would be great if all of you can hit all of these classes, but in particular I ask you to come to this one because you can go pay real estate coaches. There's Tom Ferry, Mike Ferry, all the greatest coaches in the country will charge you about $1,200 a month, okay, for great coaching. And these people, they work with the top agents, thousands of the top agents in America. And what they do in their coaching is every week or every 2 weeks, however you set it up, they're going to have a phone call with you, and they're going to ask you a couple questions. But the big questions are, how many appointments did you have, and what happened on those appointments? And so what my objective with this particular class is to give you a foundational real estate overview of essentially why people, you're going to see vividly here in a few minutes, why people are successful in real estate and why some people are flat out failures at it. Now, we want to focus on the success, so we're going to focus on what successful people do, but it'll be pretty obvious as well as we go through here what people are doing that causes them not to be successful. So it revolves around a whole concept of time management, and we're going to, I'm going to come back to this page in just a second, but I want you to understand how your days work in the real estate business. So I would suggest to you, and you have, this is on your page 3 in your book if you've got a new book. You've got your ABC time, and that just keeps it real simple. There's A time, B time, and C time. Now you can use that blank line under the A, B, and C there for these definitions. But anybody, and I think maybe Callista and Taylor might have been through this, this particular piece one other time. But do you have any thoughts as to what A, B, and C is all about? It's okay if you don't. It's not a trick question. So here's A time. A time is, it's face-to-face with a buyer who can buy or a seller who can sell. Now, what do you think the most important words in this sentence are? If it's a sentence. So, it's right here. Face to face. That's A time. This, ladies and gentlemen, this is the only place we get paid in real estate. You pretty much have to be face to face to sell a home. You pretty much have to be face to face to go take a listing. And I know from time to time we can do things on with our dot loop signatures and so forth, but pretty much the business, you're going to be face to face with people when you're making money. So let's move to B time. So B time, in its most simple form, it's looking for A time, or what we call it in the business, prospecting or business development, whatever. It's all the same thing. But your B time, so you can't, if you wake up tomorrow, or if Lori wakes up this morning, she probably can't control whether she has a face-to-face appointment today. but she can control over here, her B time, looking for the A time. So when all of you, when you wake up in the morning, I want you to think about being, if you don't have any A time, I almost want you to be panic stricken, okay? If this is a serious career, you need to have face-to-face time to make any money in this business. So, and if you can't control getting an appointment today, which is tough, then this is your salvation over here. So we'll tell you more about that in a minute. And C time is everything else. Now, as you'll see in a minute, I'm going to show you everything else doesn't mean some of those things are not important, but some of them are more important than others. But if you understand this, you can avoid $1,000 a month coaching. I mean, it's just, this is really everything you need to know about time management in real estate. Now, let me be a lot more specific here. I had, because my handwriting is not so good, I had some of these tasks written out for us that things that you do on a daily basis. So remembering our definition, I want to label these things here A, B, or C. So what's a listing presentation? Is that an A, B, or C? Okay. Is it face-to-face? It is. So that's an A time activity. Doing Facebook, A, B, or C?
B, or C.
It's a C. It's a C. Because now, we can kid ourselves and spend hours on Facebook and think that we're prospecting and looking for business, and sometimes it happens, but it's more of a C time activity. How about when you're getting ready for a listing presentation and you're doing your computer work, your comparables and that kind of thing? A, B, or C?
C.
Bingo. It's a C time activity. Okay. How about, so you've got something under contract and you're working, maybe you're meeting an appraiser today. A, B, or C?
C.
It is a C. Good. Showing properties, A, B, or C?
A.
A time, absolutely. Calling clients? Just the act of calling them?
B.
It's probably a C time activity until you get somebody on that phone that now wants to make an appointment and so forth. Then it could be some B time if you are, if that's your objective in those calls. How about outdoor knocking, A, B, or C?
A. Or it could be a B.
It is a B, okay? Now, on those rare events, you walk in to knock on the door and somebody says, oh yeah, I want to sell my house. Well, now all of a sudden you could be an A time because you've got somebody that wants to have a listing presentation. Now that wouldn't be how they term it, but that's what we know is going to happen next. How about putting signs out? Whether it's open house signs or your for sale signs, A, B, or C?
C.
Yep, C time. Whoops. Talking to loan officers, A, B, or C?
C.
It's a C time activity. You're going to see doing your paperwork, C time activity. Mailing postcards, C time activity. Doing your CMAs, that's a little bit like that one up there, C time activity. Prospecting, that was part of our definition, it's a B time, absolutely. Big one, database management, but A, B, or C?
C.
Yeah, it's a C. Okay. How about right here, training opportunities?
C.
It's a C time activity. Doing your emails, same, C time activity. Open houses, this is a good one. A, B, or C?
B.
I agree. I think it's more of a B because, it could be an A. Somebody walks in and they get very serious about that house. You could be in the middle of an A time pretty quick. But for the most part, it's going to be a B time. You're looking for business, so that's why you're doing it. Sending out surveys and so forth is C. Dealing with a counteroffer.
C.
No, I would say that's an A, wouldn't you? I mean, because now it may be you might not physically be with them, but you're trying to put a transaction together, so we're going to give that an A. How about face-to-face? That is an A time. Anytime you're face-to-face. Geographic farming, A, B, or C?
C.
Yes, you hear that? It's a B. On your Instagram, all social media is going to be a C. Working with a termite inspector, a C time. Buyers that buy, if you're dealing with a buyer, that's probably an A time. I think there was supposed to be more divorce. Divorce. That's a miserable time. But if you're, I think it's a B time because I think the point was you're prospecting, like Jennifer Kohler, for example, in our office in Columbia. She's making her whole real estate practice around divorce. And so she's working with attorneys and things like that to get divorced people to her, and so good B time. How about your just doing newspaper ads or following up things from the newspaper?
C.
I'm going to give it a C. Dealing with inspectors. Sorry, Blake. That's a C time activity. Now again, we're not saying some of these C's aren't important, but they're just not A or B. That's the distinction I want you to really get. When you're looking for A time, that's a B time activity. Contract follow-up, that's probably a C time because you probably already have your transaction it's under contract, and so now you're doing the escrow work and so forth. Talking to lenders, C time activity. Being in the MLS is a C time. Writing offers, A time. Building or writing your brochures is a C time activity. Learning your scripts, whoops, I'm sorry, that's a C time. Posts on social media, C time. Putting lockboxes on, C time. Dealing with attorneys. Now, it could be a B, I suppose, if you're, in fact, I'm going to make it a B, assuming you're doing like Jennifer, looking for divorced clients or probate or that kind of thing. Cold calling, A, B, or C? Wouldn't you think of B? Because you're looking for clients. Dealing with referrals, I'm going to say that's a B time activity. Doing flyers, a C time. Dealing with repairs that Blake comes up with on his inspections, C times. When you're talking to for sale by owners, this could be an A or a B, but for the most part, it's going to be a B because you're out there looking for them. You're looking for a client. But when you have one that says, okay, let me know more, I want to have a listing presentation to know why I should list with you guys, then it becomes an A time. But for the most part, B. Calling expireds and so forth, that's another B. Doing your advertising is a C. Sellers that can sell, that'll be an A time. Talking to your home warranty reps, C time. Talking to your title people, C time. Any social media is C. Inputting your list, so you've got a listing, but you're putting it in the MLS, it's still a C time activity. I don't know what absolute owners, I don't even know what that means. Lunches, that's a good question. Are lunches A, B, or C?
It depends.
It could be any of them. So if you're having lunch with a client while you're showing them houses, for example, that's probably an A time activity. Who do most agents have lunch with?
Lenders. Or people they want to work with.
Well, hopefully, but what would you say?
Lenders.
Well, oh yeah, lenders, that's true. But most agents have lunches with other agents.
Mm-hmm.
And, I don't want to break your heart, Callista, but Tiffany's not going to buy a house from you. So, if you guys have lunch together, just call it for what it is. We're having a fun lunch or something, but don't think you're working. So, I'm going to give this a C time for most, but understand how it could be the other way. Your continuing education, C time. Staging is a C time activity. Cleaning the properties, C time. Coaching is C time. So let's do this. Callista, will you count the C's? There's the biggest number of them. Can you get the A's, Austin?
I can, yes, sir.
And Kayla, how about the B's? Got a number?
6.
A's,
Yes, sir.
11.
B's.
I got 36, but y'all can check me.
Okay, close enough.
We'll go with you. We'll go with you.
So 6, 11, 36. 6, 11, 36. You could work with me for the next 10 years, and I'm not going to be able to give you a more vivid demonstration of why agents go broke. They spend their time in C-time activities, okay? Now, again, as I said, some of those C-time activities, I'm not saying they're not important, but where the money is made is here. But you can't control that on a daily basis very easily. So this is the North Star of this business, if you will. Every day you should be, Kayla, you should spend time every day, hopefully a couple hours a day, looking for A time, okay? This is your prospecting. So this is where, now think of it this way. Here's how the math works. 3 hours here equals 1 hour here. So pretty close, the way this works out is every 3 hours that you spend looking for A time, it should generate an hour here. Now, that works out over the course of the month. You can't say, well, I'm going to prospect 3 hours today, and for sure I'm going to have an hour of A time tomorrow. But over time, it absolutely works out. So think of this. So maybe it's a Thursday, our sales meeting day here in this office. We have a sales meeting once a month. So you come in Thursday for the sales meeting. Sales meeting's over, and maybe you go to lunch with one of your buddies here in the office. After lunch, maybe you have to meet a termite inspector or an appraiser or someone, and maybe you spend some time talking to a lender, and next thing, before you know it, it's 5 or 6 o'clock, and you go home exhausted. Okay? It can be a tough day because you were at it all day. But yet, not 1 minute was spent on A or B. You go home exhausted at the end of the day and essentially accomplish nothing. And that is the downfall of most agents. So here's the good news and bad news about real estate. There's right now about 1.4 million real estate agents in America. Okay, it's just crazy how many we have. More than 80% of them don't make a living wage. Okay, now a living wage, they might have a couple transactions a year or something. But the 20%, now this is in any kind of sales. You've got the 80-20 rule. You've got 20% of the people making 80% of the money. Okay, so I don't care if you're selling aircraft. That's the way those numbers will work out. So the problem is if you're in that 80%, and it's normal to be in that 80% the first year or so because you're learning the business and so forth, but as your career grows, you want to get into that 20% because 20% of the people making 80% of the money. What that does, if you're following my math, that leaves only 20% of the money for 80% of the people. You follow me? That's not where you want to be. The reason those people are in that 80% is they're spending all their time here. They're just not focused on business development. They're not focused on things that are going to lead to more business. Now, I don't know if many of you are football fans like I am. I'm not a fanatical fan, but I am a great football fan. How long is a football game?
3 hours?
4 hours.
It's about 3. And on TV, it'll take about 3 hours unless there's some overtimes and so forth. But how much activity is in that football? In that 3 hours, how much time is actual play time?
An hour.
It's not even. It's about 12 minutes. Now, the 12 minutes is from time the ball is snapped till the time the play is called dead. Okay? So, about 12 minutes. So think about that. You're playing, you're out there on that field for probably 3 hours, and there's only 12 minutes of it that's really important. Okay? So, think of being on the field is their beat time. They're out there, they're in the game, but showtime, what they're getting paid millions and millions of dollars for, if they're really good, is their A time. Okay, so and then you've got all the other players that are all C's. They're not they might be on the team, but they're not making much money. It's just in a year or two they're out of the league. So we could extrapolate this to a lot of things in life, but at the end of the day, the real estate agents that make money spend time, a couple hours every day right here. Lori's taken on a farm in Thompson Station. So if she spends a couple hours a day door knocking in that area, getting to know those people, that's going to be very, very productive time, because sooner or later she's going to uncover some people that want to sell their house and want to have a listing presentation. So that's highly, highly productive. Whereas other people might be sitting in the office all day and getting very little accomplished. And so the people that make it into business, this is where they spend their time. I know I'm beating a dead horse, probably keep saying it, but I can't emphasize it enough to you how important this is. So let me quit talking and ask questions. Or what questions or comments might you have about or observations that you've seen in the business? Now, Austin's not been at it more than a day in real estate, so he might not have some, but Callista, you've been at this a year. What do you think?
What is a question I might have?
Yeah, well, yes.
Well, if you just go door knocking, how do you recommend approaching that? Like just door knocking, and then what do you say? Like, what do you say from there?
It's a great question. So Mike Ferry, MikeFerry.com has free scripts, but he has one of the most fabulous scripts. It's he would knock on the door. Hi, I'm Mike Ferry. I sell real estate, and when were you thinking about moving? Now, that's pretty aggressive. That's pretty aggressive.
That's what I'm thinking.
That's pretty aggressive. And almost everybody says, well, I'm not thinking about moving. Oh, well, if you ever were going to move, where would you go? And that gets them thinking, well, maybe a lot of people might say Florida or something like that. Okay, well, when would that be? When do you want to be there? And it just gets a conversation going. Now, his style might be too aggressive for some of you about what are you thinking about moving. But if you did nothing else, Callista, and just said, I'm Callista, I'm with Coldwell Banker Real Estate, and I'm looking for people that might be thinking about selling their home. Do you know anybody? I mean, it could be that simple, and you're not going to get... Well, Lori, you went knocking with a group in Columbia recently. What was your experience?
Not bad. I mean, we had an open house, so we were just inviting them to the open house, and also asked them if they knew anyone who was wanting to look into move into the neighborhood, or were you looking to sell, or. And then we went again. Me and another lady went and said, "Hey, the house sold. When are you looking to maybe sell, or do you know anyone who's looking?" And we just conversated. So. And just made them aware and just started talking.
You were telling me nobody was nasty, nobody was...
like slam doors or anything.
No, we tried to be gentle about it. Yeah, we got our words out.
Yeah, so the problem is, and Lori's heard this story, but maybe the rest of you haven't. When I was a brand new agent in real estate in Cleveland, Ohio, I was you know, I didn't want much to do with door knocking. And so my broker puts me in a car. It's winter time, and he stays in his Lincoln Continental on the street, and he has me go knocking on doors. So I knock on 5 or 6 doors, and there's like nobody home. This never happens in Cleveland, because at that time, Cleveland, very blue-collar town, husbands worked in the steel or auto business, and they were away at the factory, but the wives were home. So to have somebody 5 doors that nobody came to the door is just almost unheard of. Well, I go to knock on the next door, and I didn't know Mr. Russell had come up behind me. And I go knocking. He says, "Rich, it works better if you don't knock on the brick." I was knocking on the brick because I didn't want to talk to anybody. And so then I knock on the door, and he's right there, and he takes over and has the conversation. And so after 3 or 4 more, I'm fine. I was off to the races. But so no, if you have fears about knocking on door, I get it. I was there, but what you're going to find out is most people are pretty nice, and if they're really going to be rude, most of the time they won't even answer the door. So it's just not. So my point is, don't be afraid of it. Just I'm not. I want to come back to that. I don't know that door knocking is the most productive thing you could be doing, but it is. It's certainly better than sitting in the office. Okay, so you can have there were a lot of 11 different things that you could be doing here. All of them are more productive than just sitting in the office. Or today, what happens is agents sit home and they play at their social media and so forth. But while they're doing that, this is especially true for the ladies. Well, you're going to be working at home, and I could get a load of clothes done, or I could, maybe I could get the laundry room picked up, or one of your rooms. If you were working for IBM and they were paying you $125,000 a year, you wouldn't be doing that. You'd be, and yet you can make that kind of money in real estate, but you have to have that discipline and that focus. One of the worst things that happened to our industry was COVID, because it made it okay for everybody to be at home. And so we get comfortable being at home, but most people, in my experience, don't have the discipline when they're at home to lock themselves in an office or a bedroom office or wherever it is and really be focused on making calls, whether it's for sale by owners, expireds, or whatever you can do to look for business. But looking for the business, if you don't look for the business, it's not going to come. So, any observations or thoughts on any of that? Tiffany, you've been at this a while, so...
It's a different world here than Nashville, though, when I was in it.
Tell them how. How is it different?
Well, I started out as an assistant, so I knew all the paperwork but I wasn't good, like, people-wise, like relationship building. So that's what I really fell in love with when I started doing my own, real estate. So I door knocked in Nashville, and several people were very hateful, and I have not done it since. I'm not even gonna lie. And I'm like, no, never doing that again.
I did some in Nashville before. It's different.
Yeah, but so I wouldn't even do it here. I'm like petrified now.
Well, and I don't want to. I appreciate the comment. I don't want to. I'm not here to push door knocking. What I'm here to push is some kind of activity that's going to get you to A time. Okay. And door knocking's a way. It might not be the way, but you've got to really spend some time in here. Now, the best way, which is a class coming up not next Tuesday, but I think the week after that, when we're going to get into your databases and database management. Now, that for someone like Callista, who's a little bit newer to the area, that's a little more challenging because she doesn't have a big database. But for Lori, who's been here a long time, I think, and she's got a sizable database. So there's things in Blake. You've got to have a database to die for, with all the people you know, even taking all the agents out of it. So it's so people want to do business with people they know, like, and trust. So working with people you already know, that already like you, that most likely trust you, that is the way to build a long-term business in real estate. Now, we have people, not Callista, but we've got people in our Columbia office. Somebody just moved here from Pennsylvania, you know, a year or so ago. Well, they don't have a database here. They've got good people they know back there, but that's not going to help them here very much. So when you don't have your database, then you're going to have to focus more on your for sale by owners or your open houses. Open houses is huge. That is probably, and that's where Lori's been focused. Open houses is a great way to come up with buyers. It's just a great way, and you'll almost always, you know, I don't know, did you have you or Taylor had an open house this weekend, I know, I saw on Facebook, and many people come through?
I didn't have anybody.
Nobody this time? Okay.
Last couple of open houses, I don't think we've had anybody.
Okay. How many signs did you put out?
I put 4. I had them all over from the highway down
Okay.
to Community Road.
I usually put out 20 or more.
Okay.
And I usually have 20 or more people come to my open houses.
What area do you do them in?
Spring Hill, Thompson Station, but I've done that ever since I started real estate. That's what I was told to do. If there's a road, you need to have 3 or 4 signs pointing that way. It looks like it's an emergency. So, seriously, that's what I do.
So this is not the class on open houses, but I'll give you this piece of it here. More signs is better. So what we typically have happen is an agent will spend 2 hours, 2 to 4 at an open house, and they'll spend 5 minutes putting up signs. You'd be better off spending an hour putting up signs and taking down signs, and then you're going to have more productivity at that open house. If you just have a couple signs, you're not going to get that much traffic. And then I'm assuming you all know, but I don't want to assume that, because Austin won't know this yet. For example, if you're going to do an open house this coming Saturday, if you have that listing, if it's not your listing, and let's say it's Blake's listing, you need to have Blake show that open house in the multiple listing service by Wednesday. That way, that open house will show up on Zillow, on Realtor.com, and all the big portals. So if somebody's just looking online for open houses, that's how they're going to find them. Now, sometimes we decide we're going to do an open house on Friday. Well, then you're going to have to rely on signs because it won't make the portals in time. But enough on open houses. So everybody get the point? Because I could go on for hours on A, B, and C, but I don't want to go too crazy on you. All right, your next page in your book is page 4. It's what we call the Ask Triangle. Now, the Ask Triangle, you're going to say, what is ask? We've got A, S, and K. Anybody want to take some guesses what A, S, and K stands for? Come on, guess.
You knew them last time, didn't you?
I don't think so.
I think you did. Well, then guess.
You can guess. There's no wrong answers. Any thoughts what it might be? Okay, let me just give it to you. Attitude.
Okay.
Skills.
Yeah.
And knowledge.
Let's give a little kickstart there.
Yeah.
So, what do we mean by attitude? If this is, you know, you've got people that wake up in the morning and are just naturally happy, and you've got other people that wake up in the morning and are grouchy. And believe me, customers don't want to work with grouches. Okay, so you need to be, you need to have a good attitude about your business and so forth. We'll come back to that in a minute. What are the skills? And it's not that I'm going to expect you guys to know at the moment, but you want to have some sales skills. All right, and then you want to have, I'll just call them, and it may be the same thing, people skills. sales skills could be how to make a great presentation. One of my pet peeves is we have a phenomenal listing presentation at this company that you can use. I have agents that take that listing presentation out, and the first time they've ever gone through it is with a customer. Are you kidding me? That's crazy. You need to know that thing forwards, backwards, inside and out, so that when you're presenting it, you're going to present it with a lot of emotion and excitement and enthusiasm, and more than anything else, the confidence that goes with that. So that's just one example of a sales skill, is the presentation piece. The other sales skills, let me just give them to you. We're going to call, well, actually I want to call it the opening. You've got need determination. Hopefully you know that's need determination. Then your presentation. Then your overcoming objections. Then closing. And then what I call remorse prevention. Now, the opening of a sale is, let's say you meet a customer. Well, let me do it this way. We've all bought cars, probably. So when you go onto a car lot, and all of a sudden, the car salesman starts walking towards you, what happens to your defense barriers? They're moving up. Why is it? Why is that?
Because they're on the attack.
That's our impression, right? That they're on the attack. Now, what if this salesman had been just voted by all his previous customers the finest, most gentle salesman in the world? Okay, you don't know that. You don't know. So your defense barriers go up. So the same is true when you're in real estate. If you are on a listing presentation and you sit down at a table with somebody to start going through your listing presentation, their defense barriers are up. Just like they think it's time you're going to sell, they're going to be sold, okay? So you need to take some time to lower those defense barriers. Now, and think about this. We're sitting at a table and we're just in the first 3 to 5 minutes. What could you do to lower the client's defense barriers?
I always talk about ask them personal, personal question, like, hey.
Yeah, anything personal is very good. One thing, you can ask them for a glass of water, okay? Ask them for a glass of water. Now, if they offer you a Diet Coke or whatever and you want it, that's fine. But when you ask people, you're becoming more of a guest in their home when they're getting you water, because they're not going to go get the Mickey Mouse glass they feed their kids with the water. They're going to give you a nicer glass. They're probably going to put some ice in it. All this is taking time. It might take a minute or two to get for them. Next thing you know, your water shows up. So the defense barrier, it gives time for these defense barriers to go down. As Tiffany was saying, you might have noticed when you're walking, because probably you walked through the home prior to this, and maybe you saw, maybe the husband's a golfer and you saw him with golf buddies in a photo or something. So you might mention something or maybe there's a boat in the side yard. I mean, talk about anything but real estate for a few minutes. Just get those defense barriers down. So after that, now you can move into need determination. This need determination is where you're asking questions. The one doing the talking is the one that's probably in least control. So I guess so you want to be asking questions. And think of it this, the who, what, when, where, why, how, okay? When are they moving? Why are they moving? When, I think I said when, but when do they have to be there, wherever they're going? Is there any, those kind of questions are the questions that'll get them talking about what they're trying to accomplish, okay? Now, some of this might have come out on maybe you did a prior visit, a prior walkthrough, or maybe on your walkthrough, or maybe on the phone call initially, they told you why they're moving. But you take a little bit of time and get a little bit more involved in that. So your need determination is the most important part. if you will listen to people what they say, they will tell you how to sell them. Okay? Here's what I mean by that. This happened to me when I was with one of my agents, but I was a manager at a company in Ohio, and part of our presentation was, we're going to do open houses. We're going to do open house, open house, open house till we get this place sold. It was just part of our normal presentation. Well, thank God, this particular one, he was asking questions. Well, and I'm going to give you a couple of great questions, but one of the questions is, what did you like about what your agent did? What didn't you like, if they had a prior experience? What they didn't like? Oh my God, this guy did open houses every weekend. There's only so many times you can go to grandma's house, kicking us out of our house. So if we hadn't have asked that question, we'd have blundered into our presentation pitching open houses. And so it's, open houses are great, but you can sell them or you can unsell them. And if somebody is violently or vehemently opposed to them, you might as well unsell them when you get to that part of your presentation. So, but this need determination is so important. I was doing I was a consultant for a while doing sales training, and I was at this class in New Orleans teaching a whole day on these sales skills. So I'm going on and on. I probably spent over an hour on this need determination, and this little lady in the back stands up, and I'll try to duplicate her Cajun accent, but I'll never forget it. She says, "Well, Rish, what it sounds like you're trying to say is, don't tell me the answer to my prayers till you know what I'm praying for." And so I have never heard it put better than that. That's what need determination is all about. You want to find out what they're praying for, and then we can give it to them in our presentation. But a lot of agents start in on the presentation first, and what happens is that now they get into all kinds of stumbles and things they shouldn't have been saying if they would have just listened to what the people wanted. So then in your presentation, what you're doing in your presentation part is just reinforcing. That's where the sale takes place, where all the things that you're going to do to satisfy what they told you they needed. And then if they have some objections, they might have an objection they don't want to pay 6%. You should have some answers to that, okay? Why they should, or they don't want to list for 6 months, or most of the objections have been the same for the last 100 years. So you might as well learn some answers to them, and then your closing is where you get to the point where you just ask, "Are you ready to do this?" And hopefully they say yes, and you get your document signed. So that's a quickie on the sales skills that you want to have. Now, most of you were not in professional sales before you got into real estate, so a lot of this will come naturally, and you're going to learn. So anytime you can go to a sales seminar, things like that, or watch, there's tons of them on YouTube and so forth. Just see, and you'll adapt your own style. See what it is you like, what some of these people do, and there's some things you won't like, but what you're going to develop is your own style. All right, moving on to knowledge. Now, this is very good for, let's take a Kayla who's lived and grew up in Summertown, so she knows Lawrence County pretty well, okay? So, what's the knowledge? Well, she might not have this yet, but you want financing knowledge. Who can tell me what the payment is on a $400,000 house at 7%, or $400,000 mortgage at 7%? Who knows what the payment is, or could tell me in a minute? You got it?
Have to get my calculator.
It's not a trick question, but
No, you just told me.
No, go ahead. So what is the payment on a $400,000 loan at 7%, 30 years?
Is it $933?
No.
No.
It's 2661.21. Now, why can't every one of you tell me that? Do you know why? A lot of you are relying on your lender. Well, let me call the lender and see what the payment will be. Are you kidding me? Now, there's a lot of things you need your lender for. I want you all to download an app right now called Loan What If. It's got this little, I don't know what's the symbol is, a little pig or something. It's got a little pink pig, blue background. It might cost $1, I don't know, but Loan What If. You find it? Does it cost anything?
I downloaded it last time. I think it was like, sort of say 99 cents.
Yeah, okay. So once you have that on your phone, then open it. You got it, Lori?
Mm-mm.
Did you find the app?
I don't see a pig.
Oh, it was a pig.
You find it, Tiffany? Once you open it, do you have it open, Kayla? Mm-hmm. Okay, so type 400,000 into the loan amount, the top line.
I think it would.
Is that what you got there? Did it open? Yeah.
Was it?
400,000, 30 years, 7, yeah, 26, you got it. Okay? So, did you get it? 400,000, 30 years, 7%, yeah, 2661. You have it, Blake?
I
To do.
don't have
You got it?
No, I saw her. I don't order things on my phone without some of my information. It's not just.
Oh, okay, all right. Tiffany, you got it now?
I don't even see it on the Play Store.
Mm-mm.
Oh, on the app?
Which they don't have Apple phones. I wonder
Yeah,
if it's just
Android.
That's all right. It's still they have it they have it on Android.
Okay,
It's for both. Loan What If.
It's like loan space dash what if.
No pressure, don't worry.
Right.
No pressure.
I see no pink little pig.
Me either.
Well, there's probably 100 apps that does this. This is just the one I happen to use because it's so simple. But here's my point. There's no reason for you to have to call your lender to tell somebody what their payment approximately is. We know that right now interest rates are about 7%. So if somebody, if they want to have maybe they are going to get a $300,000 home. Now, by the way, you've probably already had them pre-qualified. So let me get back in the camera. You've had them pre-qualified, so you know they're in that $300,000 range. Maybe they have a 10% down payment, and so their mortgage is only going to be $270. You follow my math? So their mortgage is $270. So you put $270 in there at 7%, 30 years, hit done, and you're going to have their payment. Okay? Now, the lender will double check that, and the lender's going to add taxes, insurance, and other things. But my point is, you need to be able to just get in a ballpark with them. And if you can get in a ballpark with this, it's so simple, and it makes you look a lot smarter than having to say, I got to call the lender to figure out what your payment's going to be. It's just, that's just so unnecessary. Okay? So enough said. You can all calculate payments now. And Tiffany, if you didn't find it, we're going to, there's a lot of apps that'll do this. So you just want a loan calculator.
Okay.
Is
Well,
what it'll do.
in-state title and escrow that we use in like Franklin,
Yeah.
they actually have one.
That's what I found.
Okay,
I found my app. I just switched phones, so I had to
Oh,
sign into it.
gotcha.
And
Yeah,
you
it
can
does.
punch it all in right there.
I mean, this is one of, I guarantee you there's hundreds. So just pick one. But but so you can tell them ballpark what the payments are. Now, do we know today that the interest rates are 6 3/4 and not 7? Probably not, but you're going to get in the ballpark. You're going to be able to give people a ballpark number, what their payment's going to be, and that, you know, and if they run screaming from the room, you know they don't want a payment that high, okay? But most people, they're in the game, so but this will make you look a lot smarter doing this. So anyway, back to our example here, attitude, skills, and knowledge. So financing knowledge is one of those things, but you also need to know the churches, the schools, you know, your shopping, and I could go on and make a list of 50 things here, of things that you want to know about your community, okay? The primary community or communities that you're going to be showing homes in and servicing. So, let's talk about why this attitude, skills, and knowledge is important here. I'm going to label or number these from 1 to 10, 1 to 10, and 1 to 10. So let's take a newer real estate agent, which with the exception of Tiffany, most of you are. So how's a newer agent's attitude about their career, about real estate, about what they're doing? Is it high or low?
Hi.
Pretty high, right? Because we're excited. You know, it's a new career, you're excited. So I'm just going to pick a number, and let's say on attitude, a newer agent's an 8. Now, where are they on the skill side? Not only sales skills, but some of these people skills and so forth. And maybe they didn't come out of sales, so wouldn't you agree that's probably going to be a little bit lower? Okay, a little bit lower. So maybe they're a 5. And some of you will think, well, I've never sold. Believe me, if you were much lower than a 5, you wouldn't have got hired here anyway. Because you got to be, we got to like you, and you got to, if we like you, other customers are going to like you. And then on the knowledge side, so let's take somebody like Kayla who grew up in this area. What's her number going to be? Probably pretty high, wouldn't you think? So maybe I'll just give her a 7 on knowledge, okay? Well, here's what you need to know. And here's why brand new agents can compete against agents that have been in the business for years and win. So here's what you need to know. The success, this is called a success triangle. The success triangle says that your success is limited by the lowest number. So this is somebody's success triangle that's maybe a newer agent. The great thing is, though, as you get a little bit more skills, this can be growing very quickly. But that's a new agent. Let's take an experienced agent. Let's say this agent's been in the business for 5 years. On a scale of 1 to 10, where do you think their skills are?
8.
I would agree. Because if they stayed in the business that long, it probably is an 8. How's their knowledge?
8.
Might be an 8 again. Yeah, could be higher. Okay. Here's what kills them. Where's their attitude?
Yeah.
Many times you're going to see these people with an attitude of a 3, a 4, because they're kind of burned out. They're not that excited about what they're doing. It's just, and so here's the rule. Remember, the success triangle is determined by the smallest leg of the triangle. Well, here, a new agent, people would much rather do business with an agent that's excited and enthusiastic, even if they're newer in the business, than they would with somebody with a crummy attitude. Okay, think about yourselves. I mean, if you're hiring somebody to do a service or something for you, this guy or gal probably isn't going to be your choice. But somebody up here, absolutely. So the reason I show you this is even though you're newer to the business, it doesn't mean you can't compete. Now, Occasionally, you're going to go up against a Christy Hagen. Christy Hagen's probably an 8, 9, or 10 on every one of these, okay? But she's 1 in a million. There's just very few of them. When we're blessed to have a number of them here. Barbara T. Smith, Ann Morrow, Stacy Springer. I mean, I could give you a few other names. Those people are high on all these. But rarely are you, there's a 1.1 or 1.4 million realtors. There's 16,000 realtors in RealTracs, just in RealTracs. You're not competing, there's not very many of those that you're going to be competing against. So most of the people you're competing with are probably going to have some issue with something, a low number on the triangle. So the point is, don't be intimidated. If you go in, if you learn your presentations and learn not only from these classes, but anything you can go on YouTube, or we have a gal in Krista Davis at our Columbia office, brand new agent, but she's spending a couple hours a day watching podcasts or listening to podcasts, watching YouTubes. I mean, look, she's learned TikTok and so forth. I mean, and you're going to see her advancing really, really quickly because she's putting the time in to do that kind of stuff. So, Austin, this makes sense?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Hey, Rich,
Please.
I found the calculator is on our website. Your personal website you have here. You just tap that down, choose Buy Mortgage Calculator.
Is that on your Moxie site or
That's
on
on
our
my-
company site?
That's on my Moxie one, but I'm assuming that it would probably be on our.
It might be, but I don't know if Tiffany has your Moxie website set up yet. If you do, then you've got it.
Perfect.
I forgot all about that. Thanks, Lori. That's good. Okay, I'm going to spend just a couple more minutes on one thing, and then we'll be wrapped up for today. Your next page, page 5, is called the Activity Result Relationship. This bar on this side is level of activity, and this is time. So time in 30, 60, 90, 120, 180 days. So 30, 60, 90, 120, 180. The activity result relationship says that if you have let's say today is your starting date. If you start out and your level of activity is high. Now, this is your B time activities that we're talking about. Your level of activity is your B time, so whether it's for sale by owners, working your databases, whatever it is, here's what happens. The result relationship, I'm going to use a different color here. About 30 to 45 days later, your results start tracking your activities. Okay? Does that make sense? So you're doing all this prospecting, and then all of a sudden you start getting some appointments. They're probably buyer's appointments, but you're showing properties. Maybe by the time you're in 60 to 90 days, you've got 1 or 2 under contract, which would not be unusual. But here's what happens. Then the activities drop off. Well, I can guarantee you 30, 45 days later, your results fall off. This is results, by the way. Terrible handwriting, but so your results. So this is what drives most of you probably are married. This is what drives spouses crazy. How can you possibly bring $18,000 home in February and not bring another dime in until May? I mean, those of us been in the business, we know that can happen pretty easily, but the reason it gets so drawn out is the activity, because up here you're feeling good. Hey, I got a couple things under contract, I got a new listing, things are going great, and but your activities have dropped off. And so a month later, your results drop off, and so now you're not going to get a check for another couple months. So the way to solve this is why I was saying to Kayla, a couple hours a day in your B-time activities. If you will keep your activities kind of at a consistent level like this, your results will be very consistent as well. So your results will be like this, and you'll get away from these ups and downs. I don't know about you guys, Wells Fargo wants my mortgage payment on the first of the month. They don't want a story. If you have a landlord, they don't want a story. They want their money, okay? I can't go to Wells Fargo and say, well, I didn't prospect much last month, so I'll catch up with you in May. You know, no, they want their money. So the way to have a consistent income, many of you came from, I know Lori did for sure, many of you came from industries where you got a paycheck on the 15th and the 30th, okay? And so you gave that up for the ability to make more money, in most cases, is what brought you here. Well, if you're gonna be inconsistent up and down in your activities, you're not going to get a paycheck on the 15th and the 30th. I mean, when you do get them, they're going to be a lot bigger. But if you will keep your marketing, all the things that we're doing fairly consistent, put a couple things under contract every month, and you're going to have a paycheck every 15th and the 30th. You just need to get a couple things under contract every month, or at least get a new listing and maybe something under contract. Listings are going to sell in a market like we're in now. So that's the difference between, this is the 20%ers, the people that make 80% of the money in this business, versus the people that are left with table scraps that the other people don't have. So, make sense? So consistency is everything in this business. But the thing to be consistent about, and I keep using Kayla as my example here, but a couple hours a day looking for new business. That is the secret. And you can't get, and this is for all of you, you can't get depressed if you did a couple hours of prospecting today and nothing came of it. So what? Do it again. Do it again. Over time, it is going to work. And the people that have a consistent prospecting ethic or discipline are going to win the day. They're going to become the future Christy Hagens, the future Ann Morrows, and so forth. People that can make $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 a year in this business. Now, some of you that you've got. I know a couple of you got younger children and so forth. That 150,000, 200,000 might not be your goal right now, but there's no reason you can't make a consistent 60, 70, 80,000 and still be a good mom and a good mom, good dad, and have a great real estate business. So the beauty of this business is you're able, what attracts a lot of, and I say moms, not to exclude dads, but it's a business. You can go to your kid's soccer game. You know, you can go to the travel baseball or whatever they're doing. You can be very involved in their lives. You can be there, get them on the bus in the morning, meet them at the bus when the bus drops them off, or you pick them up later. This is a business that will absolutely accommodate all of that. So I'll close with, and I shared this with, I don't know if it was Austin or somebody recently. My very first broker, Mr. Russell, a Russell Realty Company, I'd gone through and had gotten my license. And after I got my license, he sits me down and says, well, Rich, I've got some good news and I've got some bad news about real estate for you. And my first thought was, why the hell didn't you tell me about this before? I went through all this to get my license and everything. That was my thought. And he said, what do you want first, the good news or the bad news? I said, well, give me the good news. He says, real estate is the highest paying, hard-working career that you could ever have. It's just unbelievable the amount of money you can make. And I'm thinking, well, I was only 21 at the time. I'm thinking, God, I'm already working hard. I've always been working hard, so this works for me. I said, what's the bad news? He said, it's the lowest paying, easy work. So what he meant by that, and and the hard work was not like blue collar, we're moving boxes or we're working on a forklift and working, not that kind of hard work. His point way back then was, if you take great care of your customers, and you're going to have a phenomenal career at this. That's the hard work, taking care of them, you know, meeting them, you know, doing things they didn't expect. And that is, that just cements a relationship, because you're not going to sell them one house. You may sell them 5 or 6 over a period of 15, 20 years, who knows. But take great care of your customers and you're going to have a high income in the real estate business. So thank you all for being here today, and glad you're here and glad you're part of Coldwell Banker Southern Realty.